What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Blueprint Podcast, the podcast where we uncover the blueprint to success from people of all walks of life. Today, we are uncovering the blueprint for execution. Today's guest is an MBA student from Mississippi State University. He is also the co-founder of ConnectU, an app that connects college students to brand deals through user-generated content. We have Dillon Scott today. Thank you for coming, Dillon. What I really want to talk about first is how, first of all, you got involved with ConnectU, and did you have an entrepreneurship journey before ConnectU, or did it just start with ConnectU?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, first off. All right, so where did my entrepreneurship journey start? My mom has told me she always thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Even when I was little, I would sell toys or games to people. But I worked for a family business growing up and stuff, but I didn't really have my own entrepreneurial thing going until I ended up working at the Center for Entrepreneurship at Mississippi State, and then on the tail end of that, that's when I kind of I had several ideas during that journey, but I really started ConnectU at the end of my time working there. And got some grant funding through that, and I can go through that entire story if you want,
Right.
piece by piece. But
Of course, we'll get into that as we further go through. But so you said you were selling toys and games and stuff. So you always just been hustling since a little kid, just doing your own thing, getting money.
yeah, I can say that I'm a bit of a hustler. I would, even as a teenager, I'd find odd jobs, cleaning out garages, cutting grass,
Right.
like whatever somebody didn't want to do. I've painted houses,
Right.
just stuff like that, where I'm like, oh yeah, I can develop that skill. I can do that. Or it doesn't really take a skill. It just takes labor that other
Right.
people don't want to
Right.
do.
Pay somebody else.
So yeah, I've done that I did that for a little bit in high school when I just needed some extra money for gas or food or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I guess that's a little bit of how I got started.
Cool. So did you start ConnectU? Did you come up with the idea, or did your partner come up with the idea?
Yeah. So my co-founder's name is Jack, and originally I came up with the idea. We had a meeting. We ate like lunch together and talked about ConnectU, and he was like, "Oh, like he's a computer engineering guy,
Right.
or a software engineering guy, computer science," and he was like, "People come up to me with app ideas all the time, but like they're just usually
Right.
some random nonsense." He was like, "But this is actually a good idea." And so we had that conversation. It went great. Like we were both excited. Then nothing for months. Like we didn't talk about it again.
Static.
And then he texted me again out of the blue one day, like, "Oh, dude, I just like recreated Facebook, like code." He did some coding project where he
Right.
basically recreated Facebook.
Okay. So
And he was like,
actually did.
we should definitely like do this ConnectU thing. And I was like, okay. Then again, nothing for months. And then in February of last year, so February of 2024, we sat down for dinner again, and we were like, all right, let's do this. He was getting ready to graduate with his undergrad from Mississippi State. I had just graduated in December, and I started working a job that I didn't really love. I didn't have that much
Right.
passion for, so I was like, eventually I gotta get out of these
Right.
shackles. So like let's actually work on this. So that's when I'll say things really got started, and it was a little slow at first. We both had a lot going on. Like I was working full time, and I was applying for the MBA, but I'm not sure if I had gotten in by that point, I believe. But like we just both had a lot going on, so things were a little slow at first. And we started getting some funding through pitch competitions at Mississippi State, and there are pitch competitions all over. So if people are listening and they're at Mississippi State and like you're like you don't know where to start, just sign up for a pitch competition and that'll make you start.
Literally.
Because that was really where we started. We had our first pitch like a few weeks after that meeting, and it was the first time we had to explain our idea to other people. And I think we had 5 minutes to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Which may not sound that short, but like to explain a whole idea and like how you're gonna capitalize on this, 5 minutes is nothing. Like we were just blowing through it, and then we realized we're using like jargon and slang
Exactly.
that makes sense to us, and we're just saying all this stuff that doesn't really make sense. And we practiced this pitch, like
Right.
we practiced like a couple days before and the night before for hours. So we think like, oh, we're gonna do all right. Like we've cut some things out. Like it makes
Right.
sense to us, but we never get like showed our pitch to anyone else.
Right.
So we, the two people working on it, we obviously
Thought it was
understood
great.
it. Yeah,
The
yeah,
most amazing thing.
yeah. And then they had so many questions after the pitch, and we were like, okay, well, obviously we didn't,
Right.
we weren't that as clear as we thought we were going to be, but we did get funded, and we did get fully funded, and they kind of just told, they did leave us some remarks basically saying we needed to be more clear about stuff, use less jargon,
Right.
and just really follow there's kind of like a path laid out for you in the pitch, and if you stick pretty closely to that rubric or that path, you'll do well pitching to investors, because they're really trying to prepare us to pitch to bigger investors.
Right.
So we went through that, and then went through another pitch competition, or another pitch. They call it the Venture Catalyst Program in Mississippi State.
Yep.
Well, there are two different tracks, but we were on the new product track, so Venture Catalyst Program. And the first one's prep, the second one's ECAB. So then we went through ECAB a few weeks or a month later, I don't remember. And we got some more funding. The first one we got like $100 or $500, I think, and then the second one's like $2,000.
Yeah.
So we're like, after we pitched the second time, we did much better. We had some questions, but like overall it was much better. And oh my goodness, I forgot to mention the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint on our first pitch was
Wrecked it.
terrible.
Wrecked it. Me too.
Yeah, it was just like the most basic PowerPoint. And it was literally black and white PowerPoint, and I don't even know. I mean, I remember we had some images in the first one, but
Yeah.
like I said, it was bad.
First one's always terrible.
Yeah, and the second one we improved, and then we had Startup Summit, which is this huge pitch competition at Mississippi State where a bunch of money is given out all to student startups, and so we pitched at that. We ended up winning our division, so then we got invited back for the finale. We came in third place at the finale, unfortunately. I mean, everyone who pitched at the finale was great. So, and the guys who won first, I mean, their pitch, it's the most insane pitch I've ever seen. It's so good.
Right.
So, I mean, they kicked our butts. We just kind of had to shake their hands and be like, good job.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like that.
And we still took home a good amount of money from that. I don't remember how much exactly. And then that's how we started. That's how we got our initial funding. Sorry, that was a long.
That's okay. You know, we were hoping for that. So, you said you guys started, and then months and months and months. So, how did you guys, once you guys decided, and once you guys got funding through Mississippi State, multiple opportunities that we have there. I love our school. I don't know if every other school has that, but our school has amazing opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah.
So once you guys got that, what led to, wanting to create an app? It could have been a website, or it could have been, just directly connecting students to businesses. What made you specifically want to do an app? And he had computer engineering or computer science, you said. So what made you guys want to frame it in that way? Because he could have done so much more with coding than an app or something. He could have did something totally different.
Yeah, so I guess I should take a moment to explain what ConnectU is and then go into that.
Yep.
So ConnectU is a startup that is based in an app. It's basically a marketplace for influencers to meet brands, both local businesses and online businesses, and basically to connect with them, and everything is handled in-app from connection to payment. So an influencer would connect with the business wants a certain post done by that influencer,
Right.
and everything would be submitted through the app. The business would then be able to review the content and approve it. The influencer would post it onto their existing social media, so like their Instagram. And then once that's done, the influencer gets paid. So we were thinking we wanted this to be a college student based app, and originally we like honestly thought about making it NIL, like name,
Right.
image,
Yeah.
likeness for college athletes and connect them with businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, we just had this moment of realization almost that we could have a lot more influencers on the platform if and there are a lot more influencers out there who are college students
Right.
that don't necessarily fall into the student athlete
Mm-hmm.
bucket, but they still have a large enough following
Right.
to make money off of it, but they're not. And the only reason I know that is because I worked as a brand ambassador with Rockstar or with PepsiCo
Mm-hmm.
as a Rockstar energy drink ambassador. So I got I got paid to basically do the things that an
Right.
influencer does. Like I would give out samples of the energy drink and take pictures, and I had to do a certain amount of events and submit stuff, but it was really easy like disposable income for me.
Right.
But I could only work with like Rockstar. I couldn't work with other energy drink brands, and I was basically capped at how much I could work a month or how many hours I could
Okay.
get paid for a month,
Gotcha.
which I didn't like. So ConnectU became it evolved into this idea of like a gig based version of that to where you're not stuck working with one company because
Right.
I know people who have been college brand ambassadors with other energy drink brands, even alcoholic beverage brands,
Mm-hmm.
even dating apps. I know Tinder and Bumble are on some
Yeah.
campuses. They have some influencers. So, and those are cool. Those are great opportunities for students. If you have the opportunity or you think you can qualify for it, take it because
Definitely.
I think it's such a like great and easy way for students to make money while also helping businesses and like you're also getting experience
Right.
with it. But so when we decided, we wanted to target this towards college students, we were
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, an app is the way to go.
Right. Yeah.
It was just easier than having a website,
Mm-hmm.
or we thought it would be better than having a website because we wanted it to feel almost like a social media app.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't want to create a new social media app, but we wanted it to be a
Yeah.
familiar
Like effortless. You just
interface.
scroll
Yeah,
and
similar
you
to
can
social
pick something.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. What kind of went into kind of like the back research of trying to make it an app because you guys thought through it. Hey, this is what has to go with college students. This will go great with college students. And I know a lot of this happens throughout the venture catalyst program and through startup summit. But like outside of that, did you guys kind of like do anything additional? Because I know you have to do customer research and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But on the kind of like the market research side, how did you guys kind of think through that by yourselves? Kind of like, okay, this is what I have to do for venture catalyst, but let me think about it a little more and see what else we could uncover here.
Okay. So, are you wanting to know are you wanting to know talk how we did customer validation or
Yeah, kind of like customer validation and like seeing how it would compete in like the app space on the
okay.
app store, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. So, we positioned ourselves as there are other competitors out there.
Mhm.
But they usually work with bigger influencers like your mega, even
Right.
macro or micro level influencers. With ConnectU, we're focusing on what we call nano influencers to
Mhm.
start. So the floor to be a nano influencer is 1,000 followers. And we
Mhm.
kind of got that based off of you could be a college brand ambassador for companies with around like
Yeah.
2,000 followers
Yeah,
ish.
something like that. I know Fizz was pretty lenient with that. Like I think theirs was like 500 or something.
Yeah,
Pretty low.
yeah. So like if I can make money as a brand ambassador with that following, that means that a corporation sees somebody as influential enough
Right.
um, to post things for them on social media and help with their brand awareness.
Mhm.
So we were like, okay, that'll definitely work for even smaller brands because even when you have less followers, you're usually closer to those followers. So it's like a more intimate, more like
Mm-hmm.
uh, trusting relationship.
Right.
So we positioned ourselves to be kind of in that nano influencer space and to
Mm-hmm.
work with smaller businesses for those reasons. And then I mean, customer validation and interviewing people, it just never stops. Like
Right.
I've got more of that to do coming up, but we've done that. We've talked to both the students and the business owners, and we've gotten all sorts of answers. It's not always fun
Right.
because some people will just kind of shoot your ideas down on
Right.
stuff, or just like they might not be very nice when you're just trying to ask them a couple of questions, but that's just part of it. And I
Yeah.
don't know. In the end, it's fun, but sometimes, like when you're doing it, you're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
People can be buttholes
Yeah.
sometimes. It's crazy how people can be mean. So you mentioned that you talk to businesses as well. With getting businesses to be involved, was it kind of hard to do that, or with businesses, or like, yeah, like the ones you have on there, I noticed that they post really often. Do they just like do that willingly, or are you like, hey, post this?
Yeah, it kind of just depends on the savviness of the business owner. The more like, especially more like tech savvy business
Mm-hmm.
owners and business owners who are more savvy with like social media, they get it pretty much immediately. Like they understand the value proposition, and they're pretty easy to work with. Like they understand. And I mean, we've had to do things like, some of our initial businesses on board, we,
Mm-hmm.
refund them on their first listings and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much free to the business. Like they have to pay up front, but
Right.
then we end up paying them back because like we needed them to,
Right.
like we needed somebody to take a chance on us. So we were like, take a chance on us. It'll be free to you because we had that funding from the e-center to do
Right.
that. So we did stuff like that. And I mean, some businesses are easy to work with, some are not so easy to work with, and like some we just can't work with. Like especially when you're dealing with local business owners,
Right.
it's just kind of like your everyday people, and
Mm-hmm.
they just own a business.
Right.
Like they just may not be as like technically savvy as other people,
Right.
especially when you're in like such a big university and you're around so
Right.
many
So many people.
professors and stuff.
Yep.
You kind of get used to people being a certain way, and then you step outside of that bubble and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like not everybody is this savvy, and
Right.
like not everybody understands what we're even like pitching to them. So like sometimes you just gotta chalk it up and be like, maybe they'll be interested later,
Right.
but you can't force it onto anyone. You just
Right.
gotta get who you can get on board, and then hope the rest come along.
Yeah, it's just got to be comfortable with that and know that's a hard pill to swallow when you're starting a business. Somebody
Yeah.
telling you like, "Dude, get out my face. I don't want to talk to
Oh
you
my
right now.
goodness, we've heard a lot of no's.
I don't want to talk to you." And that's something I'm learning right now as I'm developing. Like some people just don't want to do stuff. Some people just
Yeah.
don't want to be a part of it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So for somebody that's thinking, or a college student that's thinking of starting an idea or starting, anything, not an app or a website, or maybe they might just want to resell shoes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How would you recommend them to start thinking about the process from going to an idea to creation? Kind of like how you guys started and then y'all talked about it and then months after it's dead. Most people in that dead space probably be like, forget about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
move on to the next thing. So what advice do you have for somebody that wants to kind of to stick with it?
Yeah, I mean, I listen to all sorts of podcasts or read all sorts of books, so I get. I mean, the main thing is like discipline and
Mm-hmm.
starting on
Mm-hmm.
it. I think the regular there's a saying out there that like most people will be like, well, I don't feel like doing this today, or like
Right.
whatever. I'll just start on it tomorrow, and that's the pattern that
Right.
develops. Like I'll just do it tomorrow,
Right.
and it just keeps getting pushed. But you just gotta like start, and there's nothing like it. It doesn't mean anything good or bad's gonna happen, but just
Unless
start
you
and
did it,
yeah, just start and see what happens. And yeah, you can always say you did it. Like ConnectU could burn in flames and
crash
be a
today.
total disaster, and I'm okay with that because I tried. I would not be okay with that if I wouldn't try, because I would always wonder, what if I would have done this?
Right.
What if it would have
Right.
taken off? You know, like me and Jack talk about this all the time, because there are days where it's just like you are taking a beating.
Right.
We've been going through some interviews recently, and one day we had like multiple interviews cancel, and we were just like, what is up? Like, we just took a beating today, but that's just part of it. And
Right.
then, you know, on the other side of that, we have more people sign up for interviews. So we were like, okay, we're chilling.
Cool.
So just get started.
Okay. So, for people that don't have resources like Mississippi State, or their university doesn't offer stuff like that, I would say try to use YouTube University.
Yeah.
YouTube University will help a lot. And I know Dillon mentioned a lot of stuff about like how our school offers so many great things. You don't have to have that, guys. I want you to know that. You don't have to have funding at your easily disposable hands. You can do it any way possible. However, we're just, talking through how ConnectU got started. So I just wanted to mention that really quickly because you guys can start, with what you have, or there's funding options through your state, or many different options that you can have. You don't just have to go to a university and say, "Hey, give me all your money." That's not what you have to do. Okay, but my next question would be, um, how do you think ConnectU can evolve to in this current market of like social media and stuff like that? How do you think it can evolve to be, a bigger app or bigger in locally at least?
That's a great question, because I'm like the idea guy. So
Right.
I'm always coming up with like all the ideas, and sometimes it's too many ideas. Like people are like, "We just started this." Like,
I
let's
understand.
let's put that on the back burner because you came up with this idea, and this is what we're working on right
Right.
now. So right now we're actually working on a new feature. So historically, with ConnectU, we've had it as an influencer basically comes up with the content. It's almost like, yeah, it's kind of like user generated content,
Right.
but the business has guidelines and requirements for
Mm-hmm.
it. But now we're trying to come up with a new feature that we want to test out, where basically the business comes up with the content and they just have other people repost it,
Okay.
and for money as well. So, you'll still get paid, but the idea is like it'll be a much quicker turnaround.
Right.
And the business will have pretty much like almost complete control over the content.
Okay.
So we're just trying some different things out, because maybe that's what businesses want. We kind of just try to see like, okay, what do people like about our app? What do they not like about our app?
Right.
And try to adjust, or just like what are we offering versus like what do people want? And
Right.
like I said, the interviews never stop. You just have to go out and ask, or
Yeah.
send out surveys or whatever.
Get feedback from everybody, any and everybody. Okay, so you guys talked about it over lunch and then waited forever and then talked about it over dinner and then waited forever again, and then you guys started with startup summit, but you guys started in the e-center. So how did the idea, I guess, begin to take shape after you guys like decided, hey, I want it to be an app? How did you guys go about doing the coding? Did you guys like maybe hire other people, or did Jack do it all himself? Did you guys look for other students on campus? How did you guys go about actually executing the app?
Yeah, so I was extremely fortunate that I knew Jack, and I went to Jack about this because he was able to single handedly code everything.
Wow.
So, entrepreneurs, if you don't have the skill yourself, find a co founder that does. Surround yourself with good people and good talent, because that, I mean, without Jack, and we have another senior team member named Alex, without them, I don't think ConnectU would still be standing, like if it was just me. But thanks to them, we're still standing, and we've gotten some pre-seed funding, and we're looking to go to the next round. So surround yourself with good people. But let's see, for it to go from the idea to the product, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I bet Jack would
Yeah.
be better at explaining that. Sorry, he's not here to do so, and that I can't do so. But that's kind of tough. We talked about it a lot, and we would make um, basically these storyboards,
Mm-hmm.
or we would talk about like how different pages of the app would look and how different functions would work,
Yeah.
and then Jack would basically build up like a storyboard or whatever,
Oh.
and then we would discuss the storyboard, what looks good, and
Right.
what can go ahead, and then what needs a complete remodel.
Right.
Um, and then Jack would he would like download. This was before we were on the App Store. He would do something to download the app onto my phone, and then I would go through and find all these bugs or
Right. Okay.
our brains work differently because
Right.
like especially since he built the app, he knows exactly how to do everything. And then I would get on there and try to do something. I was like, Jack, this doesn't make sense. Or like, I
Okay.
remember there was this one bug where if you hit a button, there was a delay, like a 3 second delay
Right.
or something. And I noticed that, and then I was like, I'm just spamming the button because I was like, why isn't this
It
working?
take way longer.
And then I told Jack that I was like, there's a delay in this, and we did not fix it initially. He was like, it'll be fine. It's just like a couple seconds. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were going through our first test listing with the user, and I think she did the same thing. She was spamming the button. He was like, okay,
Gotta fix it.
we gotta fix
That
that
can't happen.
because like that's just like human nature. Like I mean
Hey,
that's
hurry up. Bro.
yeah, that's just how we've gotten
Yeah.
now with just instant gratification, I guess. But
It's TikTok's fault.
yeah,
I blame it on TikTok.
I
30-second video.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, TikTok's about to be gone, sadly.
Hey, yeah, cry about it. Womp womp. Um. So okay. So you guys basically a lot of communication, a lot of beta testing, a lot of going back and forth, bouncing out ideas off each other. Because like you said, you guys' brains work differently, and thankfully you had Jack and Alex on your team. You didn't have to go find some random developer on Fiverr and be like, "Hey, make me this app." So that was very beneficial in that aspect. So when you guys made the app, initially launching, I just came across it not too long ago, but I don't know when you guys initially launched. I don't know if it was this year or if it was before then, and you had users testing it or anything like that. But during that time, kind of what did you do to kind of adapt? I know you said a user is using it and they press the buttons and you fix the bugs, but as like you got like feedback like, hey, you know, I don't like how this listing looks or how this like how did you guys kind of adapt to that in terms of like thinking wise, like maybe you were like, oh, my app is perfect, this looks amazing, so how did you handle that like mindset wise?
Oh yeah. Well, that I think that mainly relates to Jack, but I think I can answer this one
Mm-hmm.
because it's pretty obvious from just like we've learned. You just have to listen to what the majority of the people on your app want. So if it's like something that maybe one or two people are complaining about, it may not
Mm-hmm.
be a big deal. But if like multiple people are complaining about a feature or something, or
Right.
saying it should work differently, then listen to them and
You
fix
might
it.
need to
You
change that.
and it's funny because working on a startup or your own company, it really is like your own kid. And then working on it with someone else is like they call it a co-founder marriage. Like some of my mentors have called it that, and they're like a bad co-founder marriage is like
Right.
terrible for your
Right.
company. But I mean, it really is like me and Jack talk all day,
Mm-hmm.
and we both have ideas about how we want this baby to look and
Right.
how we want this baby to grow and function in the future.
Right.
And not all of those ideas align, but
Right.
we still have to find common ground. And luckily, I mean, he's amazing. He's an amazing guy to work with. He's such a hard worker, and I'm lucky to have like such an amazing team with me. And yeah, I'm really glad I hit him up. Did I answer all of that question?
Yeah, totally, totally. You just have to adapt to what's being told as far as if the majority is telling you. Sometimes, one person might complain just because they want to complain. And sometimes, some people don't like everything. So you just have to adapt to what the majority wants to change. So I know you mentioned Jack a lot. So how was it coming into it? Coming because how it sounded when you first mentioned it, you had the original idea. So how did it feel handing your idea to somebody else and saying, "Please help me"?
Mm, I don't know. That was so long ago at this point that like it. I don't even remember what it feels like when it was just my idea. Well, when it was my idea and me not being a developer, having those skills, there was nothing I could do with the idea
Right.
except for dream about it. But then bringing Jack along, it was so nice because I mean, I remember one day just having like this moment of realization. It was literally like a random day, like way after we had the app on our phones because originally he had to like download it on my phone, and then we were on test flight when we were doing some beta testing, and then we
Mm-hmm.
got up on the app store. So it was either during test flight or early on the app store. One day I was like, oh my goodness, like we took something that was like
Right.
an idea, a complete idea, and made it into something new.
Right.
Like that was just insane to me. And I mean, I have to credit Jack with all of the work in like coding and like flushing it out. Like we worked together on
Right.
talking about it and stuff, but I mean, the the amount of work he put in to build the app is insane. So I owe it to him now to get this app, you know,
Right.
sold, get it on as many people's phones
Right.
as possible. So that's
Uh,
the current project.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Um, let me think. I think that's all the questions I have. I think you answered every question very well. You spoke a lot to you guys' journey, how perseverance really prevails in the end. You have to, really stick with your idea, really love your idea to be able to execute it. And then if you can't execute it yourself, find somebody that can help you.
Oh
It
yeah.
sounds like you have a really amazing relationship with Jack and Alex, who helped you, build this app. You guys have built it together to make it. Honestly, I don't know why people don't know about it in state that as
We're
much as they do.
we're working on that. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the team is, I mean, the old saying like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go
Right.
together or go with others or whatever it is. I mean, that saying rings so true because without them, I would not have made it this far.
Right.
Um, I mean, I could have made it fast, probably paying somebody, contracting them, but social capital is very real. So
Right.
I I love connecting with people, chatting with people, and it paid off. I mean, I got an amazing co-founder, and then we also have Alex, another senior team member who's been amazing, and we brought on another developer recently, so
Yeah.
things are
Big things coming up. I feel it in
hopefully.
my bones, or maybe that's just the cold air outside. I mean, I don't know. I've never felt this cold in Mississippi before.
Oh, it's getting colder next week.
Maybe it's just the cold air. I don't know, but no, seriously. I think you guys are gonna do great things. I appreciate you sharing your journey. It's very inspirational. It helps me to really understand in my own business, in my own software I'm creating, that you know it's not gonna happen in a week or a month or 2 months or even a year. It takes time. You have to persevere and get through it. Um, my last question would be, do you have any advice whatsoever for a college student or maybe a 30-year-old dude sitting on his couch, maybe thinking about, hey, man, what should I do in my life? Do you have any advice on how somebody can just, not even be an entrepreneur, just better themselves in whatever way they want to, through whatever avenue they want to?
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like I'm not in a place where I should be giving other people advice, but I guess since you asked the question, I'll go for it. I would say find something that you're passionate about or that you enjoy doing. I like in my free time, I love to be outside and like playing sports. I'm a grown man, but I'm still so excited to play sports. Like I've gotten into pickleball. I played soccer growing up, and I still play like adult league soccer and stuff. And I also love to cook. I love it. It's my decompressing time when I get home from work or school or whatever. It's awesome. So yeah, just find things that motivate you and find like good people to do stuff with. Uh, I'm a big community guy, so I love hanging out with my people and cooking good food for them and playing sports with them whenever they'll play with me. So yeah.
Yeah, my dog hides when I get in the kitchen. he he runs and hides in this cage, and he's like, no, don't let her burn the house down. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming. I really enjoy hearing about you guys' story from ground zero to whatever ground you guys are at now. You still have more growing to do. I'm looking forward to watching that and seeing you guys grow to become a great company. I know you guys can be. Um, yeah, and thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and please leave a 5-star rating if you are listening on a podcast hosting site. And with that, we're done with today's episode.
Thank you.
No problem.